Bewitched ran for 8 magical seasons and became one of the most beloved sitcoms in television history. But the real lives of the people behind those characters were filled with drama, heartbreak, and stories that were anything but ordinary. Here's where they all ended up. Number 1, we have Elizabeth Montgomery as Samantha Stevens. Samantha was the heart and soul of the entire show, a witch who just wanted a normal life, played with effortless warmth and wit across all 254 episodes from 1964 to 1972. Elizabeth Montgomery was 31 years old when the show premiered, already carrying herself with the kind of natural charisma that made every scene feel completely alive. She also pulled double duty, playing Samantha's mischievous cousin Serena, proving her range went far beyond one character. Off-screen, her personal life was equally eventful. She was married 4 times, most notably to producer William Asher, who also directed much of the series. After Bewitched ended, she continued working in television movies, earning Emmy nominations and critical praise well into her later career. She became a passionate activist for HIV/AIDS awareness in her final years. Elizabeth Montgomery passed away on May 18, 1995, at just 62 years old from colorectal cancer, far too soon for someone who had given television so much. Number 2, we have Dick York as Darren Stevens. Darren was the lovable, perpetually bewildered husband at the center of every magical mishap. And Dick York played him with such genuine, exhausted charm that audiences fell completely in love with the character from day one. He was 35 years old when Bewitched launched in 1964, bringing a physical comedy style that gave the show much of its early energy and heart. What most viewers never knew was how much he was suffering behind the scenes. A serious back injury sustained on a film set years earlier plagued him throughout his time on the show, requiring pain medication that eventually led to addiction. By 1969, the pain had become completely unmanageable, and he was forced to leave the series abruptly after 170 episodes. His health continued to decline in the years that followed, and he lived his later life largely in poverty. Dick York passed away on February 20th, 1992, at 63 years old, from emphysema, a genuinely heartbreaking end for someone who had brought so much joy to so many. Number 3, we have Agnes Moorehead as Endora. Endora was the scene-stealing, spell-casting, magnificently dramatic mother-in-law who never once approved of Darren. And Agnes Moorehead played every withering look and sweeping exit with absolute theatrical perfection across all 254 episodes. When the show began in 1964, she was already 63 years old, and a Hollywood veteran whose career stretched back to Orson Welles' legendary Mercury Theater Company in the 1930s. She had earned 4 Academy Award nominations before Bewitched ever aired, making her one of the most decorated actresses ever to take on a regular television role. Her portrayal of Endora earned her Emmy nominations throughout the show's run and introduced her brilliance to an entirely new generation of fans. She was famously private about her personal life, and questions about her relationships were something she consistently refused to engage with publicly. Agnes Moorehead passed away on April 30th, 1974, at 73 years old, from uterine cancer. Just 2 years after the show she had elevated so magnificently finally came to an end. Number 4, we have Dick Sargent as Darren Stevens. Stepping into a role already made famous by someone else is one of the hardest things an actor can do. And Dick Sargent took on exactly that challenge when he replaced Dick York as Darren Stevens, beginning in Season 6 in 1969. He was 38 years old when he joined the show, aware from the start that audiences would compare every single moment of his performance to his predecessor. He held the role with quiet dignity through 84 episodes until the series concluded in 1972, winning over a portion of the audience while others never quite accepted the switch. After Bewitched ended, his career in Hollywood never regained significant momentum. In 1991, he publicly came out as gay, a courageous decision that made him one of the first prominent actors of his generation to do so openly. Dick Sargent passed away on July 8, 1994, at 64 years old from prostate cancer, just 3 years after that deeply personal public announcement. Number 5, we have David White as Larry Tate. Larry Tate was Darren's slick, client-obsessed boss at the advertising agency, a man who would say absolutely anything to land an account. And David White played every ounce of his shameless opportunism with perfect comic timing across 191 episodes. He was 48 years old when Bewitched launched in 1964, already a seasoned stage and television actor who brought an effortless polish to every scene he walked into. His chemistry with both Dick York and Dick Sargent gave the workplace storylines a consistent comedic energy that anchored a huge portion of the series. Off-screen, his life carried genuine tragedy. His son Jonathan White was killed in the 1988 Lockerbie bombing of Pan Am Flight 103, a devastating loss that hit David profoundly in his final years. He continued making occasional television appearances after Bewitched ended, though no role ever matched the visibility that Larry Tate had given him. David White passed away on November 27, 1990, at 74 years old from a heart attack. Number 6, we have Marion Lorne as Aunt Clara. Aunt Clara was the sweetest, most wonderfully scatterbrained witch in the entire Bewitched universe, an elderly relative whose spells almost always went hilariously sideways. And Marion Lorne played every stumbling, bumbling, saw doorknob collecting moment with a warmth that made her completely impossible not to love. When the show premiered in 1964, Marion Lorne was already 80 years old, making her one of the oldest regular cast members in network television at that time. She had spent decades working in theater on both sides of the Atlantic before television brought her to a massive new audience. She had previously earned recognition for her supporting role on Mr. Peepers in the 1950s, which gave American audiences their first real taste of her distinctive, fluttery comic style. Tragically, she never got to see the full impact of her Bewitched work. Marion Lorne passed away on May 9, 1968, at 84 years old, and was posthumously awarded an Emmy Award for Outstanding Performance, a deeply deserved recognition that came just too late. Number 7, we have George Tobias as Abner Kravitz. Abner Kravitz was the long-suffering, a newspaper-clutching husband of the perpetually suspicious Gladys, a man who refused to believe a single word of his wife's increasingly frantic witch-related warnings. And George Tobias played every skeptical grunt and dismissive wave with pitch-perfect deadpan energy across 55 episodes. He was 62 years old when Bewitched began in 1964, another genuine Hollywood veteran who had been working in film and television since the 1930s. He had appeared alongside James Cagney and Humphrey Bogart in major studio films long before Bewitched came along, giving him one of the most impressive pre-television resumes of anyone on the entire cast. His comedic dynamic with Alice Pearce and later Sandra Gould gave the show some of its most consistently funny recurring moments throughout the series. After Bewitched concluded, he largely retired from the industry and lived quietly. George Tobias passed away on February 27, 1980, at 78 years old, a character actor who made every single scene better simply by being in it. Number 8, we have Alice Pearce as Gladys Kravitz. Gladys Kravitz was the nosiest neighbor in television history, forever peering through windows, convinced something supernatural was happening next door, and never once believed by anyone around her. Alice Pearce created the role in 1964 and played her across 28 episodes with a breathless, rubber-faced hysteria that made Gladys one of the most beloved supporting characters the show ever produced. She was 46 years old when Bewitched premiered, already known to theater audiences for her sharp comedic work on Broadway, before television brought her to a far wider audience. What makes her story especially poignant is that she was battling ovarian cancer throughout almost her entire time on the show, something she kept almost entirely private while continuing to show up and deliver brilliant performances. She was awarded an Emmy for Outstanding Performance in a Supporting Role in a Comedy just days before her death. Alice Pearce passed away on March 3, 1966, at just 48 years old, one of the most heartbreaking losses in the entire history of the series. Number 9, we have Sandra Gould as Gladys Kravitz. Taking over the role of Gladys Kravitz after Alice Pearce's passing was never going to be easy. The character had already become iconic, and the shoes left behind were enormous. Sandra Gould stepped into them in 1966 and held the role for 29 episodes through 1971. Bringing a slightly sharper, more exasperated edge to Gladys that gave the character a fresh but familiar energy audiences could still connect with. She was 49 years old when she took over, a veteran character actress who had been working steadily in Hollywood radio, film, and television since the 1940s. She was perhaps best known before Bewitched for her voice work, having provided voices across multiple animated productions throughout her career. After the show ended, she continued making sporadic television appearances before eventually stepping back from the industry altogether. Sandra Gould passed away on July 20, 1999, at the age of 82, having given Gladys Kravitz a second life that kept one of Bewitched's greatest running jokes alive for years. Number 10, we have Kasey Rogers as Louise Tate. Louise Tate was the polished, perfectly poised wife of advertising boss Larry, a recurring presence at the Stevens social gatherings who added a layer of sophisticated comedy to the show's workplace dynamics. Kasey Rogers took over the role in 1966 and held it for 33 episodes through the series finale in 1972, bringing a breezy, effortless charm to every appearance. She was 41 years old when she stepped into the part, a seasoned actress who had already built a solid Hollywood resume under her birth name, Mary Ellen Matthews, appearing in westerns and early television productions throughout the 1950s. After Bewitched wrapped, she stepped away from acting and largely avoided the entertainment spotlight, preferring a quiet, private life over chasing further Hollywood credits. She remained a beloved figure among dedicated Bewitched fans, participating warmly in reunion events whenever they came around. Kasey Rogers passed away on June 13, 2006, at the age of 80, a gracious and underappreciated piece of the Bewitched puzzle. Number 11. We have Paul Lynde as Uncle Arthur. Uncle Arthur was the wickedly funny, chaos-causing warlock who showed up purely to deliver the sharpest one-liners in the entire series. And Paul Lynde played every gleefully mischievous moment with a comic timing that was entirely his own. He appeared in 11 episodes between 1965 and 1971, and his screen presence was so electric that audiences always craved more. He was 39 years old when he first appeared, already well on his way to becoming one of television's most recognizable comedy personalities. His fame extended far beyond Bewitched. He became a true cultural institution as the center square on Hollywood squares, where his barely disguised sharp wit made him a weekly television event. Behind the scenes, Paul Lynde was gay, at a time when Hollywood made that almost impossible to be openly, and he never publicly came out during his lifetime. Paul Lynde passed away on January 10, 1982, at just 55 years old, from a heart attack, leaving behind a comic legacy that has only grown richer with time. Number 12, we have Alice Ghostley as Esmeralda. Esmeralda was the timid, sneeze-happy witch hired as the Stevens housekeeper, so endearingly hopeless at magic that she became an instant fan favorite during the show's later seasons. Alice Ghostley brought her to life across 16 episodes from 1966 through 1972, with a gentle, self-deprecating charm that made Esmeralda feel completely lovable. She was 42 years old when she first appeared on Bewitched, a theater-trained actress who had earned a Tony Award nomination on Broadway before television came calling. Her stage background gave her a physical precision that made Esmeralda's flustered moments land perfectly every single time. After Bewitched, she continued working steadily in television for decades, perhaps most recognizably in Designing Women during the 1990s, where she earned a whole new generation of admirers. On the personal side, she was married to actor Felice Orlandi for over 50 years, a remarkably stable and devoted partnership in an industry not known for either. Alice Ghostley passed away on September 21, 2007, at the age of 83. Number 13. We have Bernard Fox as Dr. Bombay. Dr. Bombay was the pompous, dramatically arriving warlock physician who always managed to make every magical medical crisis significantly more complicated. And Bernard Fox played every self-important entrance with a theatrical flair that made the character one of the most entertaining recurring presences on the show. He appeared in 19 episodes between 1966 and 1972, and his British accent combined with impeccable comic timing gave Dr. Bombay a larger-than-life quality audiences genuinely adored. He was 39 years old when he first took on the role, a Welsh-born actor who had been steadily building his Hollywood career throughout the early 1960s. Beyond Bewitched, he became a familiar face across decades of film and television, with memorable appearances in The Hound of the Baskervilles and remarkably in James Cameron's Titanic in 1997, long after most of his contemporaries had retired. He was known throughout his career as a consummate professional beloved by every cast he worked with. Bernard Fox passed away on December 14, 2016, at the remarkable age of 89. Number 14, we have Mabel Albertson as Phyllis Stevens. Phyllis Stevens was Darren's prim, proper, utterly conventional mother, blissfully unaware that her daughter-in-law was a witch, which made every family visit storyline consistently hilarious. Mabel Albertson played her across 19 episodes from 1964 through 1971, bringing a perfectly pitched blend of warmth and obliviousness that made Phyllis endearing rather than irritating. By the time Bewitched launched, she was already 62 years old, a veteran character actress whose career stretched back through decades of stage, film, and early television. She came from a theatrical family. Her brother was the celebrated actor Jack Albertson, who won both an Academy Award and a Tony Award during his distinguished career. After her Bewitched run concluded, her screen appearances became increasingly infrequent as her health declined in her later years. Mabel Albertson passed away on September 28, 1982, at the age of 80. A dependably funny presence whose instinctive family comedy gave the show some of its most grounded and genuinely human moments throughout the entire run. Number 15, we have Maurice Evans as Maurice. Maurice was Samantha's dashing, our distinguished warlock father, a man of enormous magical power and equally enormous charm, and Maurice Evans brought real theatrical grandeur to the role across 12 episodes from 1964 through 1971, making every single appearance feel like a genuine event. He was already 63 years old when he first appeared, arriving on set with one of the most impressive stage careers in English-language theater behind him, a celebrated Shakespearean actor on Broadway. He had spent decades performing the great classical roles to critical acclaim on both sides of the Atlantic before television brought him to a mass audience. He was also a significant theatrical producer, helping bring major productions to Broadway throughout his long career. Evans was gay and remained deeply private about his personal life throughout his public years, entirely typical of his generation and era. Maurice Evans passed away on March 12, 1989, at the age of 87, a true theatrical giant who brought genuine classical elegance to every Bewitched scene he graced. Number 16, we have Dick Wilson as Mr. Potter. Mr. Potter was just one of many characters Dick Wilson played across 18 episodes of Bewitched between 1965 and 1972. But his face was so familiar that recognizing him always felt like running into an old friend. He was 49 years old when he first appeared, a Canadian-born character actor who had been working steadily in Hollywood throughout the 1950s and 60s, accumulating guest spots across dozens of productions. But it was a completely different role that made Dick Wilson genuinely famous beyond Hollywood circles. From 1964 all the way through 1985, he played Mr. Whipple in the iconic Charmin toilet paper commercials, the flustered supermarket manager forever telling customers not to squeeze the Charmin. And it became one of the longest-running advertising campaigns in American television history, making his face one of the most recognized in the entire country. He remained active in the industry well into his later years. Dick Wilson passed away on November 19, 2007, at the remarkable age of 91. Number 17, we have Erin Murphy as Tabitha Stevens. Now this one is something special. Tabitha was the magically gifted daughter of the Stevens family, a tiny blonde girl who could make extraordinary things happen with just a point of her finger. Erin Murphy played her across 103 episodes from 1966 through 1972, initially sharing the role with twin sister Diane, before eventually taking it on completely solo. Here is what makes her story remarkable. She was just 2 years old when she first appeared on that set. 2 years old. Now in 2026, Erin Murphy is 61 years old, and she is one of the very few members of this entire cast still with us today. Life since leaving that magical household behind has been anything but quiet. She has been married 6 times, raised 6 children, and built a career as an actress, model, and wellness advocate. She has spoken openly about growing up as a child star and become a passionate voice for healthy aging. Of all 17 people on this list, Erin Murphy's journey from that tiny 2-year-old to the vibrant woman she is today is genuinely the most extraordinary transformation of all. Which cast member's story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below.